The rumors started as whispers floating through Memphis barbershops and comment sections, but this week they erupted into something much louder. Fans are buzzing, timelines are heating up, and the streets are claiming that the tension between Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta has taken a turn nobody saw coming. And then Stan G stepped in, dropped a warning, and sent the whole conversation into overdrive. According to online chatter, his words weren't gentle. They sounded more like a blinking red alert aimed straight at CMG. He hinted that if pressure keeps building around the camp, Yo Gotti might do whatever it takes to protect the empire he built, even if that means distancing himself from someone who once stood right beside him. But here's the part that has everyone talking. Fans are saying Blac Youngsta's recent posts, the deleted captions, the missing CMG references, all feel like quiet signals that something deeper is happening behind the scenes. Nothing confirmed, nothing proven, just a wave of speculation that refuses to die down. And when Stan G warned that some bosses save their empires by sacrificing their posts as soldiers, people froze. What did he really mean? Who is he talking about? And why now? Because if these rumors are even half true, this drama is only getting started. When the story first started circulating online, most people brushed it off like just another wave of Memphis drama. The city has always had a way of creating noise, flipping small comments into huge conversations, and turning simple posts into tension-filled theories. But this time, something felt different. People kept saying that the energy around the situation was heavier, almost like everyone was picking up on a silent storm building in the background. And the moment Stan G's interview started making its rounds, that quiet storm turned into a louder cloud hanging over the whole conversation, according to the commentary being shared. Stan G didn't speak like someone dropping gossip. He spoke like someone who had been watching the whole situation unfold for a long time. Someone who knew the patterns, the circles, and the way certain moves tend to repeat themselves. He pointed out that loyalty can become the very thing that puts someone in a difficult spot, especially when an entire brand is under pressure. And the way he talked about Blac Youngsta made people pause. He didn't call him a villain or a victim. Instead, he described him in a way that suggested a deeper emotional imbalance, like someone who once felt untouchable but now might be realizing how unstable everything around him has become. Online viewers reacted instantly to that tone. Comments flooded timelines, saying it sounded like Stan G was warning someone, without naming them. People wrote that the message wasn't meant to be direct, but it felt like a coded caution wrapped in rough honesty. The idea alone made fans uneasy because for so long the image of CMG had been one of unity, strength, and unstoppable momentum. And yet now, with all these talks swirling, that image was starting to show cracks. In the middle of all this, people noticed Blac Youngsta shifting his online presence in ways he never did before. Every small move he made became fuel for more commentary. When he removed CMG from his bio, audiences instantly connected it with the tension being whispered about. Some fans said maybe it was nothing, maybe just rebranding, maybe adjusting his page for a new rollout. But others insisted that it felt symbolic, like a quiet decision made during a loud moment in his career. And the longer he stayed silent about it, the more people assumed something wasn't right. The emotional side of the situation is what kept drawing viewers in. Fans remembered how loud and energetic Youngsta had always been. They remembered his confidence, his jokes, his unpredictable humor, and all the chaotic moments that made him stand out from everyone else. He wasn't just a performer. He was a personality that filled every room he stepped into. So when he started moving differently, acting more distant, and posting more emotionally charged messages, it made people feel like a shift was happening inside him, not just around him. There were also countless discussions about Yo Gotti's role in all of this. People watching from the outside kept saying that he always maintained a calm, collected demeanor, even when situations around him spiraled into heated territory. That kind of calm can be interpreted in many ways. Some fans admire it, calling it leadership. Others view it with suspicion, wondering how someone can stay so controlled when the people around them seem to be unraveling. This contrast between their personalities added even more tension to the unfolding drama. One man, silent and strategic, the other, emotional and unpredictable. Both tied together by a brand that was once united but now appears to be slowly pulling at its own seams. What intensified the discussion even more were the old clips and interviews resurfacing across social media. People began digging up moments where Youngsta had shown fierce loyalty, moments where he defended the brand, moments where his energy shifted rooms. They placed those clips beside newer videos of him looking quieter or more reflective, and the difference felt unsettling to viewers who had followed him for years. Comments flooded with phrases like, "He doesn't look the same," "He seems tired," "The pressure must be getting to him." None of these statements were confirmed by him, but public perception painted its own picture. Meanwhile, viewers pointed out changes in the larger CMG lineup. People noticed Moneybag's quiet stretch, the legal issues surrounding other artists, and the sudden spotlight glowing almost exclusively on Glorilla. Online audiences kept repeating the same idea over and over. She might be the one holding the brand together, while the rest of the camp feels shaken. Critics described it as a sign of a shifting power dynamic. Fans framed it as a sign of survival, but regardless of interpretation, it added emotional weight to the overall situation, making it feel like the camp was in a state of imbalance. Another detail that kept resurfacing was the long, complicated history surrounding the city's internal rivalries. People from Memphis often say that the city is too small for unresolved tension. Everything feels close. Everyone knows someone who knows someone, and that closeness can make small conflicts feel enormous. The internet kept repeating that the shadow of past situations still hangs over many artists, creating an invisible pressure that affects their decisions even years later. Whenever topics related to young Dolph surfaced online, the comment sections would revive shock, sadness, and speculation. Fans kept connecting these older stories with the newer drama being whispered about, even though none of it had been confirmed. And amid all those emotional reactions, people began focusing on one particular statement Stan G made during his interview. It was the line that caught fire first, the one that turned this whole situation into a trending topic. He said that sometimes, when a brand is under fire, the person closest to the flame becomes the first one pushed forward or pushed away. Audiences latched onto that metaphor. They dissected it, replayed it, debated what it meant, and who it was about. Some commentators said he was speaking generally about the music game, about how loyalty can flip into danger. Others claimed he was pointing at Blac Youngsta's unpredictable past, and the way it might be affecting his present. The emotions swirling around this discussion made it clear that fans weren't watching this like ordinary entertainment news. They were watching it like a storytelling saga filled with confusion, loyalty, fear, ambition, and pride. Many viewers expressed worry not because of any confirmed events, but because of the emotional language used in posts, the silences between certain artists, and the shift in energy that people felt through screens. Whether those feelings reflect the real picture or not, the audience became deeply invested. The entire situation now sits in a strange emotional space where no one has confirmed anything, but everyone feels something happening. Online viewers say the silence speaks louder than any statement. They say the distance between certain artists looks heavier than simple coincidence. And though everything remains unproven, the growing commentary around it has turned into a story people can't stop watching, as if waiting for the next clue to reveal itself. As the online conversations kept growing, people began focusing not only on the tension itself, but on the emotional toll it might be having behind the scenes. Followers who had been watching Blac Youngsta for years said he always carried himself with a mix of humor and rawness, switching between jokes and intensity within seconds. That unpredictability made him entertaining, but it also made viewers worried that sudden pressure could hit him harder than others. And when he started posting long emotional captions, fans didn't see it as trolling. They saw it as someone wrestling with something he didn't want to say directly. Every line he put out felt like it carried frustration, regret, confusion, or something heavier he didn't want to name. People noticed how the tone of his posts shifted from jokes and flashy moments to messages about trust, loyalty, and being let down. None of the posts mentioned anyone by name, but audiences didn't need names. They connected his words with the exact people and moments already swirling around the online discussion. Many viewers commented that these types of emotional messages usually come from someone who feels cornered by the people closest to them, not from outside pressure. On the other side, people kept analyzing Yo Gotti's silence. Supporters said staying silent has always been his way of avoiding unnecessary drama, keeping things business-focused, and refusing to feed public speculation. Others believed that silence felt heavier this time, almost strategic. The internet kept questioning why he hadn't spoken up to shut the rumors down. Fans said a simple message of unity could have stopped the conversation immediately, yet nothing came. That absence of reassurance made people believe something deeper might be happening behind closed doors. Naturally, this only added more fuel to the discussion. Fans began rewatching old interviews where Yo Gotti talked about loyalty, leadership, and protecting the people around him. In those clips, he always spoke calmly, almost like he had everything under control. But now, with the current commentary swirling, viewers kept comparing those moments with the present silence. The contrast created a sense of unease. If someone normally so confident and composed wasn't addressing the situation, then either nothing was wrong or everything was far more complicated than anyone realized. Then meanwhile, in the middle of these conversations, People online began describing Memphis as a city where emotions are always close to the surface. Locals who commented on the situation said the city has a certain intensity to it, where small misunderstandings can turn into larger conflicts simply because people lived so close and everyone shares history in one way or another. Longtime followers pointed out that artists from the same city often deal with shared pasts, shared losses, and shared expectations. That creates emotional pressure that outsiders may not understand. Its emotional environment is what made Stanji's interview feel so impactful. He spoke in a way that hinted at old wounds, unspoken truths, and the kind of tension that grows quietly over years, not days. When he mentioned that certain roles inside a brand can become dangerous when pressure builds, viewers connected that idea with Blac Youngsta's past personality. He had always been the one willing to express emotions, loudly, sometimes aggressively, sometimes excessively. Fans said that emotional intensity made him a star, but also made him vulnerable to becoming the center of attention whenever drama appeared around the brand. As people replayed his older clips, they started noticing moments that felt different when viewed through the lens of recent rumors. Songs that once sounded playful now carried a different edge. Videos that once seemed humorous looked more impulsive. Interviews that once displayed confidence now came across as someone carrying more emotional weight than anyone realized. These interpretations came from viewers alone, based purely on how the mood of the conversation had shifted. Yet this shift made everything feel more dramatic and unpredictable. Another layer of the discussion came from people comparing how the two artists handle public emotion. Yo Gotti presents himself as calm, steady, calculated, and almost deliberately distant from emotional outbursts. Blac Youngsta has always been the opposite. He leans into his feelings without hesitation. This contrast now seems sharper than before, making fans wonder if the emotional imbalance between them could be adding tension to the perceived situation. Some viewers said that if one person is emotional and the other avoids direct responses, misunderstandings can grow silently. As theories continued spreading, fans began imagining what conversations behind closed doors might look like. Some said maybe there had been disagreements about direction, branding, or decisions connected with recent events. Others said maybe the emotional pressure of past tragedies, especially those involving artists from the same city, was influencing how people interacted now. There were also comments suggesting that when pressure hits a brand, the leader often has to make difficult decisions that can hurt personal relationships. Yet, despite all the speculation, one thing remained consistent. No one from the camp publicly confirmed any of these ideas. The story remained entirely based on commentary, online observations, public speculation, and the silent tension fans felt through social media. The lack of clarity made the situation more dramatic. People, naturally, feared the unknown more than anything confirmed. And here, everything remained unclear. The emotional weight continued building. When fans started sharing stories of how quickly relationships can shift in the entertainment world, people mentioned how individuals who once stood side by side can suddenly drift apart when pressure, expectations, or outside narratives come into play. Some viewers said this kind of shift often happens without any big incident. Misunderstandings pile up slowly over time until a moment arrives when everything becomes too heavy to ignore. This idea made the situation even more gripping for audiences who had been watching these artists for years. The comments and reactions from fans also became more emotional. Some expressed disappointment, feeling like they had watched a strong bond possibly weaken. Others felt protective of the artists, saying they hoped all the rumors were wrong and everything was fine behind the scenes. A few fans wrote long messages, describing how they felt emotionally connected to the artists and hated seeing even the possibility of tension. The emotional reactions reflected how attached people had become to the idea of the brand as a united family. In addition to all this, people began noticing smaller details that they would normally ignore. Every time Blac Youngsta posted, fans analyzed the mood of the caption. Every time Yo Gotti shared something unrelated, viewers interpreted the silence as intentional. Some even went as far as reading into who liked whose posts, who unfollowed whom, or who avoided commenting on what. None of these details confirmed anything. But in an environment filled with speculation, small actions suddenly felt symbolic. The emotionally charged atmosphere continued growing with each passing day, and fans kept waiting for something, anything, that might clarify the situation. Some hoped for a reunion clip, a shared photo, a message of unity, or at least a sign that the tension was overblown. But instead, more quiet moments followed, and every quiet moment made the speculation louder. The longer the silence stretched, the more viewers felt like a shift might already be happening behind the scenes. The entire conversation now felt less like gossip and more like a story unfolding in slow motion, where emotions, loyalty, history, and personal pride were all tangled together. And because no one spoke directly about it, Audiences kept imagining what the next chapter might look like, even though no one really knew where the story would lead. As the online conversations kept expanding, people began pointing out the emotional contradictions that seemed to sit quietly around the situation. Viewers noticed how Blac Youngsta, once known for filling every moment with intense energy, now carried a different heaviness in his posts. He didn't say what was bothering him, but his captions felt like pieces of a story he didn't want to speak out loud. And because he didn't directly address anything, the audience filled those gaps with their own interpretations. Each line he wrote sounded like someone fighting frustration, disappointment, and confusion all at once. The emotional distance between him and Yo Gotti became one of the most talked about points. Followers kept bringing up older memories of them, performing together, laughing together, and showing loyalty in ways that seemed unshakable. Those clips once symbolized unity, but after the recent commentary, they started to feel like flashbacks to a time before emotions slowly began shifting. Comments kept saying things like they were so close once. This change came out of nowhere, and it feels like something broke quietly behind the scenes. Even though none of this was confirmed, feelings spread through the fanbase, like a quiet wave. As people tried making sense of the situation, they didn't just focus on emotions. They began pointing out the practical pressures that might be weighing on both artists. The entertainment world can be unpredictable. Fans mentioned how a brand's momentum can shift suddenly, how one artist's breakout moment can overshadow others, and how personal expectations can create hidden tension when everyone is trying to keep their careers alive. Some said these pressures pile up silently until someone starts feeling overlooked. Others suggested that emotional strain can build slowly when one person's spotlight becomes brighter than the rest. Audiences also observed how success added another complex layer to the emotional environment. Her rise brought excitement, but it also created pressure for the entire brand to maintain stability. Viewers expressed that she seemed to be carrying the weight of the brand during a moment when others were either quiet, dealing with personal matters, or reflecting on their own paths. It wasn't her fault, but the timing made everything feel more intense. Fans wrote comments saying it looked like she stepped into a space filled with old tension she had nothing to do with. The contrast made the situation feel like a fragile mix of momentum and uncertainty. Meanwhile, those who followed Memphis culture closely kept saying that the city's emotional history cannot be separated from any conversation happening today. Old wounds, past conflicts, and lingering sadness still sit heavily among many artists and supporters. People online shared their thoughts about how these emotional memories shape behavior, especially when silence grows between artists who once stood together. Some said unresolved grief can influence reactions long after the public has moved on. Others said the weight of the city's history makes every new tension feel sharper than it probably is. The resurfacing of old interviews and clips continued intensifying things. People compared Blac Youngsta's earlier behavior with his newer, more emotional tone. Sudden reminders of his explosiveness, vulnerability, and personal challenges made viewers feel like he might be carrying more pain than he ever let on. Some fans commented that his unpredictable personality might be both his strength and his emotional challenge. They said that people who feel deeply often react intensely, especially when their environment feels uncertain. And even though nothing had been officially addressed, fans kept feeling like they were witnessing a personal struggle play out through quiet fragments. At the same time, Yo Gotti's silence took on a new shape for audiences. Supporters said silence can be a sign of maturity, confidence, or leadership. Others believed silence can hide inner conflict or disappointment. People debated whether his calmness meant he had everything under control or whether he simply didn't want to add noise to an already emotional situation. But the longer he stayed quiet, the more fans wondered what conversations were happening behind closed doors. Even casual observers felt the tension in the silence. It didn't help that every small move anyone made online became magnified. If someone posted a vague message about trust or energy, people connected it to the ongoing discussion. If someone didn't comment on someone else's post, viewers called it interesting. If someone liked a message that seemed emotional, timelines exploded with speculation. None of these interactions meant anything concrete, but in an environment filled with emotion, every detail suddenly looked symbolic. Commentators also began talking about how loyalty can become complicated when emotions shift. Fans pointed out that loyalty isn't always loud. Sometimes it becomes quiet, distant, or conflicted. Sometimes it turns into sadness when someone feels unappreciated. And sometimes it shows up as silence from both sides, when neither person wants to address what's happening. The idea that loyalty can transform over time made the situation feel even more dramatic. As days passed, more people began sharing their emotional reactions. Some fans felt sympathy for Blac Youngsta, saying he looked overwhelmed in ways they hadn't seen before. Others expressed worry for Yo Gotti, saying leading a brand through emotional tension can be stressful and isolating. A few people simply hoped the conversation wasn't as serious as it looked, wishing for a moment of unity that would put all the rumors to rest. These emotional responses showed how deeply audiences value relationships they've never personally experienced but have watched grow over years. As more commentary spread, viewers started imagining potential conversations behind closed doors. Some said maybe there had been miscommunication, misunderstandings, or differences in direction. Others suggested that emotional strain can appear when one person feels unheard or overshadowed. A few theorized that the pressure of maintaining a large brand can create invisible distance even between people who care about each other. None of these ideas were based on statements, only public emotion and speculation, but they shaped the narrative in dramatic ways. One of the biggest twists came when people pointed out that Blac Youngsta's earlier outbursts, which once seemed like fun, now felt heavy in a different context. Fans used to laugh at his intensity, seeing it as part of his personality and charm, but now those same moments looked different when placed beside his quiet, emotional posts. People interpreted his silence as exhaustion, like someone who had been carrying more emotional weight than anyone realized. Some said the pressure might have finally pushed him into self-reflection, while others felt he was trying to protect himself from saying something in the heat of the moment. As the tension continued growing, audiences started examining Yo Gotti's earlier words about leadership. He often spoke about making careful decisions, choosing wisely, and maintaining stability within his environment. Now those old comments were being studied again. Some viewers wondered if his leadership style might be creating emotional distance. Without him realizing it, others said maybe he had been trying to keep things calm while the world around him became more chaotic. These interpretations added another emotional dimension to the unfolding story. Every new discussion made the story bigger, even though nothing had actually been confirmed by anyone directly involved. The drama was driven entirely by the audience, who felt like emotional detectives trying to piece together a puzzle with no picture on the box. People kept analyzing tone, timing, silence, mood, and subtle signs, and because the situation remained unclear, the emotional investment continued rising each day. Now fans weren't just watching for entertainment, they were watching with concern, curiosity, frustration, and empathy. And with every twist added by online commentary, the story kept feeling deeper, more unpredictable, and closer to reaching a point where something would eventually have to be addressed, even if only to calm the noise. As the conversation kept spreading across timelines, people began noticing how the emotional temperature around the situation wasn't calming down at all. Instead of fading, the tension seemed to evolve every few hours. One post from Blac Youngsta brought waves of comments. One silence from Yo Gotti brought even more questions. And as more viewers joined the discussion, the energy became almost overwhelming. Like everyone was collectively leaning in, waiting for something to finally break the stillness. The emotional contrast between the two artists continued to capture attention. People said Blac Youngsta looked like someone wrestling with feelings he didn't want to reveal publicly. His eyes in recent pictures seemed different to fans, softer, quieter, and maybe even tired. Those who had followed him for years wrote that his usual spark felt dimmed, not gone, but buried under something he didn't want to talk about. They pointed out that even when he joked or smiled, there was a sense of heaviness behind it that hadn't been there before. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti's calm silence created a completely different emotional reaction. Some viewers respected it, saying, staying quiet during emotional chaos shows maturity. Others felt uneasy, saying the silence only made the atmosphere feel more uncertain. Fans were torn between two interpretations. Either this was just normal calmness, or it was the type of quiet that happens when someone is hiding internal conflict. The lack of clarity made everything feel more dramatic than the audience expected. As people revisited older memories of both artists, they started sharing stories about moments when the two appeared united. Old performances, interviews, backstage, clips, birthday celebrations, and studio sessions resurfaced across timelines. Viewers wrote paragraphs about how strong their bond once looked, how their interactions felt genuine, and how their chemistry always seemed natural. These memories created an emotional contrast that made the current tension feel even heavier. The audience wasn't just reacting to rumors, they were reacting to the apparent shift from closeness to distance. The emotional weight increased further. When fans began discussing how sudden silence can sometimes hurt more than open conflict, a few wrote that when someone stops responding, stops appearing beside you, or stops showing the same energy, it can feel like a slow, emotional drift. And whether that drift was real or imagined, it affected how people viewed the situation. Comment sections filled with messages saying the emotional disconnect felt more painful because of how bright their bond once appeared to be, fought alongside the emotional conversations. Viewers also focused on the potential pressures that might be building. Behind the scenes, some said the entertainment world is unpredictable and sometimes overwhelming, especially when success shifts rapidly from one artist to another. Others pointed out that balancing personal relationships with business decisions can create tension that neither side wants to publicly acknowledge. A few fans speculated that emotional misunderstandings may have piled up quietly until the distance became noticeable. None of this was confirmed, of course, but the audience's emotional interpretations shaped the story as much as anything, said or unsaid. The viewers weren't treating this like simple drama. They were treating it like the emotional unraveling of a relationship they had watched grow for years. And the deeper the emotions ran, the more intense the speculation became. As the commentary continued spreading, people began noticing how certain small details seemed to carry emotional meaning. If Blac Youngsta posted a sad lyric, fans connected it to the rumored tension. If Yo Gotti posted something motivational, people saw it as him addressing the situation indirectly. If either of them avoided mentioning each other for too long, timelines filled with messages saying the silence felt intentional. The emotional environment had become so charged that even ordinary actions seemed loaded with hidden meaning. Viewers mentioned that emotional distance can sometimes build slowly without any major fallout. They talked about how working closely with someone for years can create unspoken expectations. And when those expectations shift, the silence can feel like a heartbreak. Others said that when someone feels unheard or overshadowed, they might pull back emotionally without ever saying why. These ideas resonated with fans who felt they were witnessing a quiet, emotional separation. Whether it was real or imagined, there were also conversations about the emotional complexity of loyalty. Fans debated how loyalty can look different depending on someone's personality. For Blac Youngsta, loyalty always looked loud, expressive, and emotional. For Yo Gotti, loyalty always looked calm, firm, and measured. But when pressure hits, those differences can clash. Viewers said one person might express hurt openly, while the other expresses it quietly, creating a misunderstanding neither side intended. This emotional contrast made the situation feel even more unpredictable. As the drama continued, people started looking deeper into the emotional side of Stan G's commentary. Many said he sounded like someone who had watched similar situations unfold before, someone who understood how emotional roles inside a brand can shift when stress builds. His tone made people believe he was describing a pattern, not a specific person. But because the audience connected his words to Blac Youngsta, it intensified the emotional picture even more. Some saw it as a warning, others might ignore. Others saw it as his way of encouraging someone to protect their peace. As the speculation reached new heights, fans also began imagining how each artist might be feeling privately. Some said Blac Youngsta might be dealing with emotional exhaustion, trying to manage pressure from the industry while also processing personal struggles. Others said Yo Gotti might be silently balancing leadership stress with concern about maintaining harmony within the brand. These imagined narratives made the situation feel even more layered. Even though none of it was spoken directly by either artist, with each passing day, new discussions emerged. Fans expressed frustration over the silence, wishing someone would finally clarify the situation. Others said maybe silence was the healthier option, especially when emotions run high. A few believed that both sides might be trying to avoid saying something they would regret later. This mixture of fear, hope, sadness, curiosity, and loyalty created an emotional storm that continued building without any resolution. The situation became so emotionally intense that people began projecting their own experiences onto it. Some fans related it to friendships they had lost without explanation. Others compared it to moments when they felt betrayed by someone they trusted. A few even said the uncertainty reminded them of quiet breakups that happened without closure. This level of emotional projection deepened the audience's connection to the story, making it feel more personal even though they were only watching from the outside. And through all of this, one idea kept resurfacing again and again: the fear that someone might feel emotionally alone inside a crowded world. People pointed out that fame can magnify loneliness, making silence feel louder and misunderstandings feel heavier. Fans said they hoped both artists were surrounded by people who truly cared about their emotional well-being, regardless of what was happening with the brand. As speculation continued spreading, the atmosphere around the situation grew heavier. Some viewers felt like the emotional silence between the artists was reaching a breaking point. Others believed a turning point was coming, whether that meant reconciliation, clarity, or deeper separation. But because no one knew for sure, the emotional tension continued building like a slow, unpredictable wave. And with every emotional twist added by fans and commentators, the story continued shaping itself into something neither artist had spoken about, yet everyone felt like they were witnessing. Whenever you're ready, I'll write the final 300-word conclusion and call to action in the same tone and rules. As more voices joined the conversation, one thing became clear across every platform. Nobody truly knows what is happening behind the scenes, yet everyone feels something shifting. The silence, the emotional posts, the distance, the resurfaced memories, the heavy commentary, all of it blended together into a story that feels bigger than the small clues it began with. Fans aren't treating this like simple entertainment anymore. They're treating it like watching two people who once stood side by side slowly drift into a place filled with unspoken feelings and unresolved tension. Yours keep saying they hope the situation is nowhere near as serious as the online emotion makes it seem. Others believe this moment could become the turning point where both artists decide to rebuild the unity people thought would last forever. And some feel that maybe this distance is temporary, something caused by pressure, stress, or misunderstandings that time will eventually soften. But until someone speaks openly, the emotional weight of everything remains suspended in the air, leaving people waiting, wondering, and replaying every small detail. The only thing certain right now is how deeply connected the audience is to this story. People feel the tension, the silence, the uncertainty, and the hope, all at the same time. And whether this moment becomes a storm or a lesson, fans will be watching closely, ready to understand whatever comes next. Now it's your turn to step in. What do you think is really happening here? Do you feel the distance? Or does it all seem blown out of proportion? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be heard. If you want more emotional breakdowns, more deep dives, and more story updates just like this, make sure you hit like, tap subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss what unfolds next.